This video will demonstrate what it's like to be a student in a DBL learning activity. First, students will read the problem that you provide them in the task window. This can be text, an image, a video, or other things you would like to provide the students with. This is an example for a statistics class where students are attempting to select the appropriate statistical method based on the wording of the problem. This is the problem. Which university students have higher average performance scores? Those from universities with Centers for Teaching and Learning, or CTLs, or those without CTLs. You collect a random sample of 25 universities with CTLs and 25 without CTLs and compare the student performance for each group on a standardized reasoning assessment. Next, the students will refer to the first decision point in the decision model, which, in this example, asks, is this a descriptive or inferential question? If they don't know which choice to pick, they can click How do I decide?, which will take them to a learning module made by you, the professor. In a learning module, the students are given the definition and example for both options. This learning module says the definition of a descriptive question is, descriptive statistics are used when you want to know something about everyone in an entire group or population. Then it gives an example of a descriptive question. Who has greater median income? Those in states that use daylight savings time, or those who do not? Check census data of all citizens in each state and compare the difference. The reason this example is descriptive is because in this circumstance it is referring us to the census. Therefore, we will be able to know something about everyone in an entire group. For this reason, we can classify it as a descriptive question. The learning module then provides the definition for the next option presented to the students at the first decision point, inferential statistics. Inferential statistics are used when you want to know something about everyone. Since you can't access the entire group, you take a small sample from the entire group and infer or generalize the results to everyone. Here's an example of an inferential question. Who eats more pizza slices in a single sitting? Football, hockey, or soccer players? You sample 20 football, 20 hockey, and 22 soccer players, and you generalize the results. The reason this is an inferential question is because you do not have access to all players from these sports, so you take samples and generalize the results to everyone in these groups. Next, the learning module will display a summary and then present the student with a practice problem where they have to determine if a question is inferential or descriptive. They will continue through the rest of the learning module's practice problems. Then, they will return to the first decision point with the original problem and determine whether it is descriptive or inferential. Because the problem is saying to use a sample of universities and generalize the results, the students should select inferential based on what we learned in the learning module. The student will then move on to the next decision point. Is this a question of difference, relationship, or goodness of fit? If they are not sure which choice is correct, they can again click How do I decide? To be taken to a learning module that will teach them how to make the correct decision. Based on this learning module, they know that the correct choice is difference. Students continue to repeat this process for each sequential decision point in the module until they reach the last decision point in the module. In this case, the last decision point is selecting the correct statistical method. The students can click How do I decide? And, just like before, refer to the learning module to learn about t-test and ANOVAs. As they review this learning module, they will hopefully come to the conclusion that their original problem can be classified as an independent sample t-test based on the definitions and examples provided. The students should then move on to the next problem and start the process of working their way through the decision model for a different scenario over again. If they make a wrong choice at any point in the decision model, the feedback setting for this assignment will show them where they made a wrong choice. Students can take problems through the model until they master the experience. The software's feedback level to the student's wrong choice will depend on what setting the instructor chooses. To learn more about the different levels of feedback that you as an instructor could implement in your DBL learning activity, please refer to the videos describing the levels of feedback. Then discuss with a decision-based learning consultant which feedback level you should proceed with. The student ultimately will know how well they perform on particular parts of the decision model. If at any point a student wishes to know how well they are performing, they can click Save and Exit, then click Progress on the left. Here they can see their progress through the decision model. The different colors indicate whether they've made correct or incorrect decisions at each decision point in the model. Green means the student made mostly correct responses at that decision point, and red means they made mostly wrong decisions at that decision point. Any yellowish color between the green and the red help the students know where their problem spots might be. The thickness of the line indicates a greater number of problems have been taken through this particular decision point than others. By clicking on the Details button above the decision points, students can know what percentage of the time they were correct when they took a problem through this decision point. They can get more specific information by clicking on the individual options. In this case, it allows them to see how well they performed with a problem where the correct decision was inferential. This information is available to the student for every decision point of the decision model. A student can analyze this information and decide what they want to practice, in this case, whether a problem is descriptive or inferential. This allows them to see where the gaps are in their understanding, to practice making decisions specific to this decision point, and strengthen those gaps themselves.